Well, I believe we do have an industrial park.
Just reading your questions.
We do have an industrial park, and as far as bringing in business, the economic development, the city of the Spanish Fork needs to work with the economic development to entice people to come here to live and to do business within Spanish Fork.
Okay, the second part of this is what specific things will you do for economic development between 1 and 3 things?
I would work with the business leaders, with the city leaders, and citizens input to try to increase people coming to Spanish Fork, whether or not it's through business, and bring business into Spanish Fork, trying to I'll bring in people. I will coordinate with business leaders and with city leaders to help bring.
Well, that's a very good question. We could definitely zone off a lot of the eastern end of our city limits to put one in. There's not a lot of big industry things, and when you mentioned that, I think of like what they would teach in vocational schools, and that has become a very viable thing for folks. We just don't feel like the 4-year college education is where they should go. We do not have one, but I support one.
The additional question here, what specific things would you do in addition to that for economic development? So you talk about vocational school. What else would you add to that list?
Well, the biggest issue that we've got right now as far as economics is our retail business centers. They've got a number of empty spaces in them, and I understand COVID has a lot to do with it. However, we were having this problem beforehand, and the easiest thing to do would first get with some developers and bounce around some ideas of other things to attract people to the business, and then folks will at that point be there and want to fill the buildings up at that point, like doctor's offices.
It's on Old 31, just 10 or 12 nice thriving businesses down there, and they do a very good job. There's not a lot of area left back there. We have worked very closely with Baldwin County Economic Development to develop another 40 acres on the back. And have tried to bring some people in there, but we have in the last 4 years, there's been quite a bit of growth in that area. So the industrial park is alive and well and doing very well on Old 31. As far as the economic development for the centers and those things for the city, I believe very strongly in working with Baldwin County Schools, the tech support to develop the youth that may not be going to college, to have the trades and those things. So, and that is something the Baldwin County school system has endeavored to do, both in Bay Minette and in Robertsdale. So I'm proud of that. As far as the Eastern Shore Center and the Town Center, yes, there's vacancies. Are there opportunities? Yes. Are there people looking? Yes. Do we have things on the Planning Commission right now to bring into some of these places? Yes, we do. Am I willing to offer incentives to make people come in here to do it? No, because we don't need to do that. Is that fair? Say you got a Home Depot wants to relocate here. Is it fair to give them money and cause problems for Ace Hardware, a local man that has done the due diligence to do his job? No, I do not believe in that.
The other two candidates have done it. Ms. McMillan and Ms. Cornelius. No, and I do not believe it's a fair shake to go and do that. It's real simple. No.
Haven't is because I have enough resources to run this race by myself. I am that concerned of a citizen that I don't like the way that this city is being headed. I want to go in a different direction than where it's been going. I want to have conservative development. I want to have post office where we could have our own identity, because the way it's going right now, you're going to be absorbed into Daphne. I believe that we need to have our own identity. I believe that we need to, there's so many options to the Waste Pro. We have Waste Pro problems. I want beautification so that when people come into this town, that they know that you care. I didn't take any money, and I plan not to take any money because I cared that much about where I live. I've lived here 18 years, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to live here, but for each and every person that is here, you take pride in yourself. You don't want to be controlled by a developer and a mayor that may have that link. You want somebody that's independent, who cares about the town that you live in.
Have not at this point. I do have a very dear, lifelong friend who married my first girlfriend. We used to ride the bus together. That is going to make a contribution to our campaign just because he knows what it is. Now, he's not a developer. He does own some businesses in the city of Smashport, including some shopping centers. So I hope that answered your question.
On a conservative basis. We need to make sure that the growth that we have is adequate to provide the safety and concern of our citizens. We need to make sure that we have the police, the fire department, and the infrastructure in place that is adequate for the citizens of Spanish Fork. I'm not in for rapid growth. When you have rapid growth, you have the problems that will arise from that. I think being on the conservative end, making sure that everything is in place so that it is a smooth operation, and working with leaders, business leaders, and the citizens' input is so imperative for our future of Spanish Fork. This is a small town feeling. It's going to grow. I'm not going to say it's not, but let's keep it under control and not let it go out of sight.
Have a lot of folks that move here for a lot of good reasons. Most of them are school. We recently, and this may be a poor subject for this crowd, but there was a referendum that the people voted on to increase some funding for schools to give our kids everything they needed to progress in life. I think that was a very good vote. It is part of growth. It is part of managing growth. You're looking up and down our city right now, you see Highway 31 being developed. I see the future of 31 being just outstanding, developing a downtown area. We are having sidewalks put on both sides. We've achieved this through some grants through the state to make sure that the city our constituents didn't have to pay for it. But we have recently ordered $474,000 worth of decorative lighting that will go there. There'll be walking and benches and those things. So you're going to see a development of downtown Spanish Fork. I'm really looking forward to that.
Have to deal with growth.
Well, the first thing I would say is start with what you already have in place. Work with that. I'm not interested in any rapid development like Ms. Cornelius is. I agree with her. I agree with you. Yes, no rapid growth. Let's work with what we've got in place, get it running like a fine oiled machine. And one of the biggest things we have, we've already discussed it, is our 2 shopping facilities. And how do we attract people into it? One of the saddest things is if you don't have what I call smart growth to work with on your infrastructure, and that includes educated people in the community, those with engineering degrees in specific things, and people who have business here, of course, as well as the average Jeff citizen. The growth is primarily, we are a retail area, however, retail is dying. And I don't have the time at this point to tell you, but I do have a tremendous idea. that might not be popular, but will go and bring business back into these empty units.
As mayor, I would love to improve and enhance the city that we have. We have a place that everyone wants to come and live and visit. I want to have transparency, more transparency in our city hall, in both the city hall and the planning meetings. I want to have a long-term beautification program that when you approach Spanish Fort, you know you are in a town that cares for the citizens. Waste Pro is one of the aspects that I would definitely look into. That contract needs to be reevaluated. It has not been conducive to a lot of individuals that live in the Spanish Fort areas. I believe in conservative growth. I believe that we need to have a post office in our name, in Spanish Fort's name, so that you are identified with where you live. If I wanted to live in Daphne, I would have moved to my house I have in Daphne. But I live in Spanish Fort, and I want to have a post office, because if we're going to have growth, we've got to have a federal post office. There are apps that can be utilized that can make different areas of Spanish Fort know what is going on in Spanish Fort. In this day and time, there is no excuse why we couldn't have that, so that in different areas of the city, whether or not it's a citywide.
I love Spanish Fort. I've been here all my life, and I continue to be as my folks. My father passed in 2006. My mother, she's still with me. She just was too much for her to get out tonight. But nonetheless, I'll send your love to her. What I see in Spanish Fort's future, we need to work on not only the infrastructure, but back to the retail. And to get people back into our retail, it requires development, and it's going to require bringing more people in. And we still want to stay a small community, mind you, but I'm going to offer this suggestion and let you chew on it, and hopefully no one has any tars and feathers with them. But multi-family dwelling, I believe, is one of the possible answers to take our town center and turn it around. If you look out here, we have got a lot of empty land, and we've got roads running all through it. We've also got, last count, about a week ago, 21 buildings with nothing there. We put in some upper scale, mind you, townhouses, condominiums, all right? They don't have to be high rises, mind you, but there's plenty of room there to put people there, and the businesses are going to naturally want to come back because there's buildings sitting there waiting for them to habitate. And as your mayor, that is one of the primary things that I want to do, is make folks come here. And I do not, if I was misunderstood earlier, I do not want to offer any incentives to talk people into coming to do business.
Who has served our city very well for 27 years, is now more important than ever that you elect a qualified, experienced candidate that knows how to accomplish the growth and the goals of our city. The mayor needs to know and understand our comprehensive plan, recognize the long-term objectives of the Causeway Master Plan, including more public access to our Delta. This mayor must be able to communicate with other elected officials in order to attack the biggest issue in our city, which is stormwater management. I am this person. I have personally met with 75% of the Restore Council in order to secure some funding during this next giving out of money. I have proven my capabilities in the last 8 years. I have completed the community center. That includes our first library, our senior citizen center, administrative office for our fast-growing city, all under budget. We have renovated the old Civitan Park at the elementary school, along with providing a new park that allows our children the ability to play soccer in our city, which we've never had that opportunity. We refurbished the kids' park that now allows for our families with loved ones that have disabilities to have the same opportunity of all other children. In addition, we have secured funding for over 5 miles of sidewalks, including sidewalks on both sides of Highway 31, up on Jimmy Faulkner and other areas. This funding also includes decorative lighting with benches so we can develop this important area of our city. This has been accomplished because of the relationship with statewide officials. Also, we recently learned of an additional grant of $2.5 million to build a facility on the causeway welcoming visitors to our city that will be a picnic area and those things on the causeway. But we have more to do. We must continue to push for the Bayway Bridge that does not allow towing. As mentioned prior, we must have an individual in this chair to lead the important merger of our city and the volunteer fire department. Have served on numerous boards, including the Veterans Board, the Prodigy Board, all those things that are near and dear to our city. It means a lot. I've served the city and our community in various positions, and I will continue to do so. I'm the most qualified candidate and would very much appreciate your vote on August the 25th.
All right, thank you.